Good Wednesday morning. It's 3:15 a.m. here in the Eastern time zone of the United States. It's Wednesday, June 28th, 2023. By the way, happy birthday to my mother, who looks more like my sister. If whenever you watch this, if you do see it. So yesterday we uh, we see Isaac being very successful, and then this king Abimelech comes to him after he's successful to an extent and says, "Just move away from here." He says, "Move away," because he's seen the blessing of God, and I guess the king is doesn't want to see it, doesn't want to be around it, but that's going to kind of flip as we read through today. I'm going to start in verse 17. I am going to finish through chapter 26 today. I'll try to unpack it. And there's a couple things that just jumped off the page at me for application for me that maybe will help you as well. So starting in verse 17, reading from the New King James translation. So this is right after Abimelech had told Isaac to just go away. Then Isaac departed from there and pitched his tent in the valley of Gerar and dwelt there. And Isaac dug again the wells of water which they had dug in the days of Abraham his father, for the Philistines had stopped them up after the death of Abraham. He called them by the names which his father had called them. Also Isaac's servants dug a well in the valley and found a well of running water there. But the herdsmen of Gerar quarreled with Isaac's herdsmen, saying, "The water's ours." So he called the name of the well Esek, because they quarreled with him. Then he dug another well, and they quarreled over that one also. So he called its name Sitnah. And he moved from there and dug another well, and they did not quarrel over it. So he called its name Rehoboth, because he said, "For now the Lord has made room for us, and we shall be fruitful in the land." Then he went up from there to Beersheba, and the Lord appeared to him in the same night and said, "I am the God of your father Abraham. Do not fear, for I am with you. I will bless you and multiply your descendants for my servant Abraham's sake." So he built an altar there and called on the name of the Lord, and he pitched his tent there, and there Isaac's servants dug a well. Then Abimelech came to him from Gerar with Ahuzzath, one of his friends, and Phicol, the commander of his armies. And Isaac said to them, "Why have you come to me, since you hate me and have sent me away from you?" But they said, "We have certainly seen that the Lord is with you." So we said, "Let there now be an oath between us, between you and us, and let us make a covenant with you, that you will do us no harm, since we have not touched you, and since we have done nothing to you but good, and have sent you away in peace. You are now the blessed of the Lord." So he made them a feast, and they ate and drank. Then they arose early in the morning and swore an oath with one another, and Isaac sent them away, and they departed from him in peace. It came to pass in the same day that Isaac's servants came and told him about the well which they had dug, and said to him, "We have found water." So he called it Sheba. Therefore the name of the city is Beersheba to this day. When Esau was 40 years old, he took wives, Judith, the daughter of Beeri the Hittite, and Basmath, the daughter of Elon the Hittite. And they were a grief of mine to Isaac and Rebekah. So a couple of different things. The one thing at the end is kind of weird that it's thrown in there. I'll talk a little bit about that. But what we see in the first of this is Isaac walking with righteousness, right? He is learning to follow God better and better, to be patient. He's seeing how God is taking care of him and being prosperous. So he does what the king says. He moves, and they go to a place, and you would need out in any area, you need water to water whatever you're going to plant, to feed your livestock, and to have water for your family and your servants. So he goes, he digs a well. He digs wells. There's quarrels. Look, he is living in their land, so he knows he's living in their land. And even though the king Abimelech, 80 to 100 years before, had told Abraham, like, go live wherever you want here, he gave him free reign of that. Isaac, he sets a model that we really ought to be following. Talking to myself here, about avoiding conflict. So he does avoid conflict, because when there's conflict over one well, he goes to the next place. Conflict over that well, he goes to the next place, until finally he finds an area out far enough away that the people aren't coming and claiming the well and creating conflict. Now, he did have some passive aggressive nature, because when he named these wells, the names of the wells mean conflict. The first one literally means quarrel, and the second one means enmity. So he progressively named them worse names, just as kind of a tribute to the conflict was there. But he didn't openly get into a conflict with them. He avoided that. He went on about his business and living peacefully until he found a place where he could live peacefully. And then, because he had done that, perhaps David Gregory translation, my thoughts are that he is showing, he's being tested in my mind somewhat with this conflict, but he avoids it, and he is honoring God in his conduct, even though he's not returning evil for evil. He's just moving until he finds a place that's peaceful, and then God shows up to him and reminds him of that blessing. And it's right after he said, the Lord has made room for us. So he realizes that through his obedience, God has brought him peace and prosperity, the water, the area. And then God shows up to validate that. And immediately he builds an altar to the Lord, which is something that Abraham, his father, had done before. And it says he called on the name of the Lord, and he dug another well, or had his servants dig another well. So he's showing that he's following God. And then after this period of time, who knows how long that was, this would have been a while. After seeing all this success and seeing that he just made peace, and probably realizing the power that God had given Abraham in the past, this new king Abimelech that he's already had the run-in with comes with a friend of his and the commander of his army. So those would have been witnesses, but kind of a show of power as well. But they come and they say, hey, look, it's obvious that God is with you. So we want to make peace with you and make sure there's not going to be any trouble for us. And instead of throwing all this stuff that had happened back at him, like, he did say that you showed hate for me and you kind of chased me away, but he didn't argue with him about the whole series of well issues or whatever. No, Isaac showed a godliness. Isaac showed a courtesy. He showed a neighborliness, if that's even a word. And he makes a feast. They eat. Then they get up the next day. They all make a covenant. They leave peacefully. And God blesses that as well, because now that the well that the servants had dug, now it has water. So he names it Sheba. So that is a testament to living a righteous life and walking in a way that honors God and shows that you are honoring God, and God will bless that. And it could be in a bunch of different ways, but God will bless that. And then this chapter ends with this rebellion from Esau. And so there's a couple things wrong. There's more than a couple, but the two that stand out is, okay, so Esau's 40, and that if he's 40, that means Isaac is 100 now. So at 100, which is the same age that Abraham was when he had Isaac and he received that blessing. Now, one of Isaac's kids is showing total rebellion because he married two wives. Okay. But not only two wives, he married two Canaanite women. Abraham had insisted that Isaac not marry anybody that was a Canaanite, anybody from that area. They were idolaters. They were not God honoring, God fearing, or God worshiping, or God following. But Esau marries these two women. He would have done it without the blessing of his parents. It would have been in total rebellion. And he picks two women that are idolaters. And it says that the women, and it's probably better in a different translation. The Amplified Version says, when Esau was 40 years old, he married Judith, the daughter of Beeri the Hittite, and Basemath, the daughter of Elon the Hittite, as his wives, and they were a source of grief to Esau's parents, Isaac and Rebekah. So these women would have led Esau astray, and they caused grief for Rebekah and Isaac. Because again, Isaac is following God, but Esau shows that he is more concerned with worldly things and with following his own worldly desires and things and power and reputation than following God. And that is always a cluster. So the two challenges today, and I'm talking to myself on these as much as anybody. The first one is from that example of Isaac is, are we being kind and avoiding unnecessary conflict? I got to talk to myself on here, right? I try to branch out and make sure that I am not just pigeonholed in any kind of certain thought process. I certainly am not going to wander from trusting God, wanting to have an increased relationship with God every day, wanting to know him better, staying in his word. But on worldly things, politics, whatever, I want to make sure that I'm seeing all sides of the arguments so that I can validate my own beliefs. So I seek Facebook pages and things where people don't necessarily agree with me, and I have peaceful interactions with them. But I have I joined a page that has a ton of atheists on it, a ton of atheists who are in open support of abortion, who are in open support of the mutilation of children. And I am trying to be peaceful in exchanges with them. It just causes more conflict. And so God talked to me, not like audibly saying that, but through his word today, that I need to quit just even bothering with that. I need to speak the truth, but not do it in a way that intentionally or unintentionally causes conflict. So I need to challenge myself. I've challenged myself. Am I showing God to others through all that I do? And my other challenge is not so much a challenge to me right now in my life, but if I could go back and challenge my younger self, it would be, and if you're a single person, here's my challenge. Are you making choices that honor your heritage and your blessing? Are you making choices that honor your walk with Christ? When you're picking people to date, especially when you pick people to marry, are you picking people that honor that heritage? I certainly pray that you are. I have right now. Thanks for your time. God, thank you for your word. Thank you for the way that it talks to us, to me. Thank you for the lessons in it. Sorry when I let you down. I don't feel guilt in that. I'm just convicted by you showing me the way that you want me to live and grow and mature And I hope that I do that a little bit more each day. Thank you for the reminders. Thank you for the lessons. Thank you for the guidance. And thank you for loving me. In Jesus' name, amen. We'll be off to the gym in a little less than 2 hours. Everybody have a great day. We'll see you